The Toronto Raptors are a Canadian professional basketball team based in Toronto, Ontario, where their home court is at Air Canada Centre. The Raptors are part of the Atlantic Division of the Eastern Conference in the National Basketball Association. The team was established in 1995, along with the Vancouver Grizzlies, as part of the NBA's expansion into Canada. When the Grizzlies relocated to Memphis, Tennessee to become the Memphis Grizzlies in 2001, the Raptors became the only Canadian team in the NBA. They originally played their home games at the SkyDome, before moving to the Air Canada Centre in 1999. Like most expansion teams, the Raptors struggled in their early years, but after the acquisition of Vince Carter through a draft day trade in 1998, the team set league attendance records and made the NBA playoffs in 2000, 2001, and 2002. Carter was instrumental in leading the team to a then-franchise-high 47 wins and their first playoff series win in 2001, where they advanced to the Eastern Conference Semifinals. During the 2002-03 and 2003-04 seasons, they failed to make significant progress and he was traded in 2004 to the New Jersey Nets. After Carter left, Chris Bosh emerged as the team leader. In 2006-07, Brian Colangelo's first full season as president and general manager, a combination of Bosh, 2006 first overall NBA draft pick Andrea Bargnani and a revamp of the roster helped the Raptors qualify for their first playoff berth in 5 years, capturing the Atlantic Division title with 47 wins. In the 2007-08 season, they advanced to the playoffs again, but failed to make the playoffs in each of the next 5 seasons. In a bid to persuade Bosh to stay, Colangelo overhauled the team roster for the 2009-10 season, but Bosh signed with the Miami Heat in July 2010, ushering in yet another era of rebuilding for the Raptors. After Masai Ujiri was brought in as the new general manager in 2013, he traded Bargnani to the New York Knicks. With a backcourt led by DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, the Raptors returned to the playoffs, won their second Atlantic Division title, and won a franchise record 48 games in the 2013-14 season. However, they failed for a fourth consecutive time to advance beyond the first round of the playoffs. Franchise history, creation of the Raptors. The Toronto Raptors were established on November 4, 1993, when the NBA, as part of its expansion into Canada, awarded its 28th franchise to a group headed by Toronto businessman John Batoff for a then-record expansion fee of $125 million. Batoff and Alan Slaight of Slaight Communications each own 44%, with the Bank of Nova Scotia, David Peterson and Phil Granofsky being minority partners. The Raptors, along with the Vancouver Grizzlies, played their first game in 1995, and were the first NBA teams based in Canada since the 1946-47 Toronto Huskies, though the Buffalo Braves had played a total of 16 regular season games at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto from 1971-75. Initial sentiment was in favor of reviving the Huskies nickname, but team management realized it would be nearly impossible to design a logo that did not substantially resemble that of the Minnesota Timberwolves. As a result, a nationwide contest was held to help name the team and develop their colors and logo. Over 2,000 entries were narrowed down to 10 prospects: Beavers, Bobcats, Dragons, Grizzlies, Hogs, Raptors, Scorpions, T-Rex, Tarantulas, and Terriers. The final selection Toronto Raptors was unveiled on Canadian national television on May 15, 1994. The choice was influenced by the popularity of the 1993 film Jurassic Park. The name Raptors is a common informal name for the velociraptor, a swift medium-sized dromaeosauropod dinosaur. On May 24, 1994, the team's logo and first general manager, Isiah Thomas, were revealed at a press conference. As part of the deal, Thomas received an option to purchase part of the team. Reportedly for under market value. He would purchase 4.5% in May 1995 and a further 4.5% in December 1995, half each from Batoff and Slaight, decreasing their share to 39.5%. The team's colors of bright red, purple, black, and silver were also revealed. Naismith Silver was chosen as an ode to Canadian James Naismith, the inventor of basketball. The team originally competed in the Central Division, and before the inaugural season began, sales of Raptors merchandise ranked 7th in the league, marking a successful return of professional basketball to Canada. As general manager, Isiah Thomas quickly staffed the management positions with his own personnel, naming longtime Detroit Pistons assistant Brendan Malone as the Raptors head coach. The team's roster was then filled as a result of an expansion draft in 1995. Following a coin flip, Toronto was given first choice and selected Chicago Bulls point guard and three-point specialist B.J. Armstrong. Armstrong refused to report for training and Thomas promptly traded him to the Golden State Warriors for power forwards Carlos Rogers and Victor Alexander. Thomas then selected a wide range of players in the expansion draft, including veterans Jerome Kersey, Willie Anderson and his former Pistons teammate John Spider Sally. Subsequent to the expansion draft, the Raptors landed the 7th pick in the NBA draft lottery, behind their fellow 1995 expansion club, the Vancouver Grizzlies. Thomas selected Damon Stoudemire, a point guard out of the University of Arizona, around whom the franchise would seek to construct its near future. Yet, the selection of Stoudemire was met with boos from fans at the 1995 NBA draft at SkyDome in Toronto, many of whom wanted Ed O'Bannon of UCLA, an NCAA Final Four Most Valuable Player. 1995–1999, Struggles of a New Franchise. In the team's first official NBA game, Alvin Robertson scored the first NBA points in Raptors history, while Stoudemire recorded 10 points and 10 assists in a 94–79 victory over the New Jersey Nets. The Raptors concluded their inaugural season with a 21–61 win loss record, although they were one of the few teams to defeat the Chicago Bulls, who set an all-time NBA best 72–10 win loss regular season record. With averages of 19.0 points and 9.3 assists per game, Stoudemire also won the 1995–96 Rookie of the Year award. In November of the 1996–97 season, Batov sold his ownership interest in the team to Slight for $65 million after Slight had activated a shotgun clause in their partnership agreement, giving Slight 79% control of the team, and remaining minority partner of the Bank of Nova Scotia, Thomas Peterson and Granovsky. Slight subsequently acquired the 1% which had been owned by both Peterson and Granovsky, who had died a year earlier. The team improved on its win record by 9 games. They selected center Marcus Camby with the 2nd overall pick in the 1996 NBA draft. By the end of the season, Camby earned a berth on the NBA's All-Rookie team while Stoudemire continued to play well, averaging 20.2 points and 8.8 assists per game. As in the previous season, the Raptors were one of only 11 teams to topple the eventual 1997 champions, the Chicago Bulls. The Raptors also defeated the Houston Rockets, Utah Jazz and Miami Heat, all of whom were eventual conference finalists. However, the Raptors struggled against teams who were not of championship caliber, including 3 losses to the 15–67 Boston Celtics. In the 1997–98 season, the team suffered numerous injuries and slid into a 17-game losing streak. After Thomas' attempts to execute a letter of intent with Slight to purchase the team failed, he resigned his position with the team in November and sold his 9% stake in the team to Slight. This left Slight with 90% and the Bank of Nova Scotia with 10%. Thomas was replaced by Glenn Grunwald as GM. With Thomas gone, Stoudemire immediately sought a trade. On February 13, 1998, he was shipped to the Portland Trail Blazers along with Walt Williams and Carlos Rogers for Kenny Anderson, Alvin Williams, Gary Trent, 2 first-round draft choices, a second-round draft choice and cash. Anderson refused to report to Toronto and was traded to the Celtics with Angstrom 1/2 and Tabak and Popeye Jones for Chauncey Billups, D. Brown, Roy Rogers and John Thomas. When the trading deadline was over, the Raptors became the youngest team in the league with an average age of 24.6. They had 5 rookies on their roster, including the 18-year-old Tracy McGrady, who at the time was the youngest player in the NBA. The inexperienced Raptors struggled throughout the season and their regular season record regressed to 16-66. On February 12, 1998, Maple Leaf Gardens Limited, the owners of the Toronto Maple Leafs, purchased 100% of the Raptors and the arena the team was building, Air Canada Centre, from Slate and the Bank of Nova Scotia. MLSE paid a reported $467 million, made up of $179 million for the team and $288 million for the arena. During the 1998 NBA Draft, in what became a defining move for the franchise, Grunwald traded the team's fourth overall pick Antawn Jamison to the Golden State Warriors for Vince Carter, who was selected fifth overall. To bring further credibility to the Raptors, Grunwald traded Camby to the New York Knicks for Charles Oakley, a veteran with playoff experience. Kevin Willis, another veteran acquired from the trade, solidified the center position, while the coaching staff temporarily rotated Brown, Williams and Doug Christie to play point guard. Both Christie and Williams became talented players in their own right. Christie developed into one of the elite defenders in the NBA, while Williams improved his play on the offensive end. New coach Butch Carter was also credited with much of the team's turnaround during the lockout-shortened 1998-99 season. Although the team did not make the playoffs, many were optimistic with the impressive performances of Rookie of the Year Carter and a much-improved McGrady, 1999-2002, the Vince Carter era. During the 1999 NBA Draft, believing that the Raptors still lacked a strong front-court presence, Grunwald traded first-round draft pick Jonathan Bender for veteran power forward Antonio Davis of the Indiana Pacers. In the backcourt, Carter, Christie, Williams and Del Curry played at the shooting guard position and Muggsy Boggs at point guard. The rotation of Davis, Oakley and Willis in the frontcourt and Carter's and McGrady's improvement helped the team make its first-ever playoff appearance, fulfilling a promise Carter had made to fans in the previous season. Lacking significant postseason experience, Toronto was defeated 3-0 by the New York Knicks in the first round. Nonetheless, team improvements and the rise of Carter who emphatically won the 2000 NBA Slam Dunk Contest attracted many fans around Toronto, many of whom were previously not basketball fans. The season was also the first full year played at the Air Canada Centre, after having played 4 years at the cavernous SkyDome, which was better suited to baseball and Canadian football. Overall, the Raptors concluded the season with a 45-37 record. Still, playoff failures and Butch Carter's media altercations surrounding Camby led Grunwald to replace Carter prior to the 2000-01 season with Lenny Wilkens, a Hall of Fame coach and player with more than 30 years of coaching experience. The team roster was also largely revamped, including the signing of veteran playmaker Mark Jackson on a 4-year contract. When Alvin Williams later emerged as a clutch performer, Jackson was traded to allow Williams more playing time. In the 2000 off-season, free agent McGrady opted to leave the Raptors in a sign-and-trade deal worth $67.5 million over 6 years, while giving a conditional draft pick as part of the agreement to the Orlando Magic, for a first-round draft pick. As predicted by analysts, the team easily secured a berth in the 2001 NBA playoffs with a franchise-high 47 wins. The Raptors won their first-ever playoff series as they defeated New York 3-2, advancing to the Eastern Conference Semifinals for the first time in franchise history. Wilkins was praised for having Williams defend shooting guard Allen Houston and Carter defend small forward Latrell Sprewell, the two major Knicks offensive threats. The series with Philadelphia 76ers was a landmark for the Raptors in terms of performance and entertainment value. The Sixers relied on Allen Iverson and Dikembe Mutombo for their respective offensive and defensive abilities, along with steady help from Aaron Mackey. Toronto was the more balanced team with Carter, Alvin Williams and Davis providing much of the offensive game and Chris Childs and Jerome Williams on defense. The series came down to the last few seconds of Game 7, when Carter's potential series-winning shot rolled off the rim. Carter was later widely criticized for attending his graduation ceremony at the University of North Carolina on the morning of Game 7, as he scored only 20 points on 6 for 18 shooting, after a 39-point performance in Game 6. Despite the loss, the season is generally considered a watermark for the franchise, given the Raptors' franchise high of 47 wins and advancing beyond the first round of the playoffs. The relocation of the Vancouver Grizzlies to Memphis, Tennessee in 2001, as the Memphis Grizzlies, left Toronto as the NBA's only Canadian team. In the summer of 2001, long-term contracts were given to Alvin Williams, Jerome Williams and Davis, while former NBA MVP center Hakeem Olajuwon was signed to provide Carter with good support. The Raptors appeared to be on their way to another competitive season, with a 29-21 record going into the All-Star break and with Carter the top vote-getter for the All-Star game for the third consecutive year. Carter then suffered a bout of patella tendonitis forcing him to miss the All-Star game and the rest of the season, and without their franchise player, Toronto lost 13 consecutive games. However, they were able to win 12 of their last 14 games, clinching a playoff spot on the last day of the regular season. The comeback featured some of the Raptors' best defense of the season, along with inspired performances by Davis and Keon Clark. Despite Toronto's improved defensive performances, Carter's offense was sorely missed in the first-round series against the second-seeded Detroit Pistons. In the first game, Detroit overwhelmed Toronto 83-65, largely due to Ben Wallace's strong performance of 19 points, 20 rebounds, 3 blocks and 3 steals. Detroit also won Game 2, but Toronto won the next 2 games at home to force a deciding and tightly contested Game 5 in Detroit. With 10.7 seconds left in the game, and the Raptors down 85-82 with possession of the ball, Childs raced down the court and shot a three-pointer that missed badly, apparently trying to draw a foul on the play, instead of passing to a wide-open Curry. In a post-game locker room interview, Childs repeatedly insisted that the Raptors had been down 4 points, not 3. The Raptors' late-season surge was thus marred by a disappointing playoff exit. The Olajuwon experiment was also a bust, with the 39-year-old averaging career lows in minutes, points and rebounds. Furthermore, Childs, Clark, and Curry left the team, ensuring a new-look team for the next season. 2002-2006, another period of struggle. The 2002-03 season began with the same optimism that the Raptors exhibited in 3 consecutive playoff seasons, although it faded early. Carter, while voted as a starter in the 2003 All-Star Game, suffered a knee injury, while Davis expressed disinterest in Toronto, and Wilkins' laissez-faire attitude created a team that lacked the motivation and spirit of the previous year's teams. The team was ravaged with injuries, losing an NBA record number of player games due to injury. Furthermore, the Raptors recorded the dubious honor of being the only team in NBA history to not dress 12 players for a single game in a season. Wilkins was criticized heavily by the Toronto media for his inability to clamp down on his players when necessary, especially given this was the year that Wilkins overtook Bill Fitch for the most losses by an NBA coach, with his loss total getting dangerously close to his win total. The Raptors ended the season with a 24-58 record and Wilkins was fired. This turned out to be a blessing in disguise, when the Raptors were given the 4th overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft and brought another star to Toronto in Chris Bosh. Canadian country singer Shania Twain helped launch the new Red Raptors alternate road uniform at the start of the 2003-04 season, and the jerseys made their debut in a 90-87 season opening victory on October 29, 2003 against the defending conference champion New Jersey Nets. Davis and Jerome Williams were traded early in the season for Jalen Rose and Donyell Marshall. After 50 games, Toronto was 25-25 and in a position to make the playoffs, but injuries to key players sent the Raptors plummeting down the standings. Rose, Carter, and Alvin Williams all suffered injuries as the Raptors struggled to a record of 8-24 in their remaining games. The notable individual season performances were Carter's 22.5 ppg, Marshall's 10.7 APG and rookie Bosch, a €6 forward centre who averaged 11.5 APG and 7.4 APG and was named to the NBA All-Rookie team. Williams' knee injury turned out to be career-ending. For the 2004-05 season, the team moved into the Atlantic Division and the Raptors decided to revamp the team. Raptors president and CEO of Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment Richard Petty fired Grunwald on April 1, 2004, after the team ended the season 3 games short of the 8th and final playoff spot in the previous season. Head coach Kevin O'Neill and his 4 assistant coaches were also dismissed immediately after Grunwald's termination. Toronto interim manager Jack McCloskey said, "While the blame for that certainly does not rest on O'Neill and his staff alone, we need a change." Rob Babcock was named general manager on June 7, 2004, alongside the appointments of Wayne Embry as senior advisor and Alex English as director of player development. Sam Mitchell, a former NBA forward and assistant coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, was hired as new head coach of the Raptors. Babcock's first move as GM was drafting center Rafael Araújo selected 8th overall in the 2004 NBA draft, in a move that was criticized by fans and analysts, considering highly touted swingman Andre Iguodala was drafted with the next pick. Babcock signed point guard Rafa Alston to a 5-year deal. After Vince Carter's annual charity game, Babcock implicitly revealed to the media that Carter's agent had asked for a trade, confirming Carter was discontent. The Toronto Sun reported that Carter felt he was being misled by the Raptors' hierarchy during the general manager search and had concluded that as long as the managerial structure at Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment Limited remained intact, the Raptors would never be an elite team. Carter was finally traded mid-season, ending his 6-year tenure. Toronto received Alonzo Mourning, forwards Eric Williams and Aaron Williams, and 2 mid- to late future first-round picks from the New Jersey Nets. Mourning chose not to report to Toronto, forcing Babcock to buy out the remainder of his contract at a reported $10 a million, leaving him free to sign with the Miami Heat. Eric and Aaron Williams were supposed to add defensive toughness and rebounding, but were generally underutilized for the entire season. Analysts had predicted Babcock got the bad end of the deal, and the trade eventually cost him his job. Carter's departure heralded a new era for Toronto. Bosch stepped up to the role of franchise player and performed well in his sophomore campaign, ranking 10th in the league in defensive rebounds. In contrast to Bosch's emergence, Araújo struggled to keep a spot in the lineup, and became unpopular with fans and local media. Although the ACC was often well attended due to the Raptors' 22-19 home record, their inability to win on the road and poor defensive record made Mitchell's first year as head coach unimpressive. Additionally, Mitchell had problems dealing with Alston, who openly expressed his unhappiness with Mitchell in a post-game interview. Later in the season, Alston was suspended 2 games for conduct detrimental to the team for reportedly walking out of a scrimmage during practice. Notwithstanding the unrest, in their first season competing in the Atlantic Division, Toronto maintained the same regular season record of €33-49 as the previous season. The Raptors continued to rebuild during the 2005 NBA Draft, selecting Charlie Villanueva, Joey Graham, Rocco Uka and Uroš Slokka, with Villanueva's selection being very controversial amongst basketball pundits and Raptors fans alike. The Raptors started their training camp by trading Alston to the Houston Rockets for Mike James, and signing free agent Jose Copyright Caldera Cubden as a backup for James. Despite the infusion of new players, Toronto's overall 2005-06 season was a disappointment. They set a franchise record by losing their first 9 games and 15 out of their first 16 games. With losses mounting and media scrutiny intensifying, the Raptors hired legendary ex-Purdue coach Gene Keady as an assistant off the bench to help develop the young Raptors team, as well as establish a defensive persona for the team. On January 15, 2006, the Raptors set a franchise points record in a 129-103 win over the Knicks when Villanueva hit a three-pointer late in the game, but less than a week later, the Raptors gave up an 18-point lead against the Los Angeles Lakers, and allowed Lakers star Kobe Bryant to score 81 points, the second highest single-game total in NBA history. With media scrutiny intensifying once more and the Raptors entrenched at the bottom of the league in defensive field goal percentage, Toronto fired Babcock. The 2005-06 season was not a total disaster. Villanova's play impressed both fans and former critics as he came in second in NBA Rookie of the Year and recorded 48 points in an overtime loss to Milwaukee Bucks, the most points scored by any rookie in franchise history and the most by a rookie in the NBA since 1997. Bosh was also named a reserve forward for the Eastern All-Star team in the 2006 game, becoming the third Raptor after Vince Carter and Antonio Davis to appear in an All-Star game. On February 27, 2006, the team named Brian Colangelo, the 2004-05 NBA Executive of the Year, the president and general manager of the Raptors. Known for his success in transforming a lottery Phoenix team into a 62-win offensive juggernaut, his hiring gave hope to many fans. Still, Toronto ended the season weakly when Bosh suffered a season-ending thumb injury. The Raptors lost 10 in a row after Bosh's injury and finished the season with the fifth-worst record in the NBA. 2006-2010, Rise of Chris Bosh. The 2006-07 season represented a watershed year for the Raptors franchise. The roster was overhauled, including the selection of 2006 NBA Draft No. 1 pick Andrea Bargnani, the acquisition of point guard T.J. Ford in exchange for Villanova, and the signing of shooting guard Anthony Parker and small forward Jorge Garbajosa. Bosh was given a 3-year contract extension, while Maurizio Erardini of Benetton Treviso was hired as the club's vice president and assistant general manager. The first half of the season produced mixed results as Toronto struggled towards the .500 mark. After the All-Star break, Bargnani continued to work on his defense and shooting and 3.9 rebounds per game in 12 games for the month of February 2007, and he was selected as the Eastern Conference Rookie of the Month for the second straight time on March 1, 2007. Bargnani became the third Raptor ever to win the award twice, joining Vince Carter and Damon Stoudemire. Toronto ended the regular season with a 47-35 record, securing the third seed in the Eastern Conference for the 2007 NBA playoffs along with the Atlantic Division title, as well as home court advantage for the first time in franchise history. Bosh was voted to start in the 2007 NBA All-Star Game. The Raptors were also praised for their improved defense, ball sharing and tremendous team chemistry. Colangelo, Erardini and Mitchell were credited with Toronto's turnaround this season, which was one of the best in NBA history in terms of league standing and defensive ranking. Mitchell was subsequently named the 2006-07 NBA Coach of the Year, the first coach in Raptors history to receive the honor, while Colangelo was named 2006-07 Executive of the Year. On April 24, 2007, the Raptors won their first playoff game in 5 seasons, with an 89-83 victory over the New Jersey Nets, but lost the series 4-2. The series was notable for pitting ex-Raptor Carter against his former team. The Nets took home court advantage in Game 1, holding off a late Raptors rally in the fourth quarter. The Raptors pulled away in another tight game to even the series at 1 game apiece. When the series shifted to New Jersey, the Nets took charge of the series, winning Games 3 and 4 in routes. New Jersey had a chance to win the series in Game 5 in Toronto, but the Raptors took a 20-point lead after 1 quarter. Still, New Jersey managed to chip away, and had a chance to win the game, but Bojan Nachbar's 3-pointer missed at the buzzer. Needing to win in New Jersey to force a Game 7, Toronto held a 1-point lead with under a minute to play in Game 6, but Richard Jefferson hit a layup with 8 seconds left to play. Toronto attempted to try for the game-winning shot, but Jefferson intercepted a pass to seal the series for the Nets. Several changes to the roster were made before the 2007-08 campaign as Toronto sought to reproduce the same form as the previous campaign. Most notably, the Raptors acquired Carlos Delfino in a trade with Detroit for 2 second-round draft picks, and signed Jamario Moon and three-point specialist Jason Capono as free agents. On the other hand, veteran swingman Morris Peterson joined the New Orleans Hornets. Despite being defending division champions, the Raptors were widely tipped as outside contenders for the division and conference titles. Bargnani's inability to play well consistently, coupled with injuries to Garbajosa, Bosh and Ford, derailed the possibility of a smooth campaign as the Raptors chalked up 6 fewer wins than the previous season. The Raptors ceded the division title to Boston, and qualified for the 2008 NBA playoffs as the 6th seed, where they were pitted against the Orlando Magic. In Game 1, Dwight Howard gave the Magic their first playoffs win since 2003 as they practically led the entire game. Howard would put up a 29-20 in Game 2, as Hidota one-quarter Rakoa scored the final 4 go-ahead points to give the Magic a 2-0 lead. The Raptors would respond with a strong Game 3 victory keyed by great point guard play from Ford and Josa Calderon. However, Jameer Nelson, Rashard Lewis and Keith Bogan's keyed strong three-point shooting in Game 4 and overcame Bosh's 39 points and 15 rebounds to bring the Magic out of Toronto with a 3-1 lead. Howard would finish off the series in Game 5 as impressively as he started 21 points, 21 rebounds, 3 blocks. Whereas the preceding season was considered a success, the 2007-08 campaign was considered a disappointment. Weaknesses in Toronto's rebounding, defense, and a lack of a swingman were brought into sharp focus during the playoffs, and changes were expected to be made to the roster. As it turned out, a blockbuster trade was agreed in principle before the 2008-09 campaign. 6-time All-Star Jermaine O'Neal was acquired from the Indiana Pacers in exchange for Ford, Rasho Nesterovia, Mosio Barston, and Roy Hibbert, the 17th pick in the 2008 NBA draft, giving the Raptors a potential boost in the frontcourt. Meanwhile, Bargnani, who had spent the summer working on his interior game, was projected to come off the bench. The Raptors also introduced a black alternate road jersey for the season similar to the earlier purple design that was dropped a few seasons ago. It had a maple leaf featured on the back neck of the jersey, symbolizing the Raptors as Canada's team. Despite the introduction of O'Neal, who brought home the rebounds and the blocks, and a much improved Bargnani, the Raptors were too inconsistent. Following an 8-9 start to the season, Mitchell was fired and replaced by longtime assistant Jay Tano. Tano tweaked with the starting lineup to no avail as the Raptors fell to 21-34 prior to the All-Star break. O'Neal and Moon were then traded to Miami for Sean Marion and Marcus Banks, but with the losses mounting, the Raptors soon fell out of the playoffs picture, and were eliminated from contention with 7 games of the regular season remaining. The Raptors eventually finished with a 33-49 record and headed into the next season with a potential overhaul of the core. Marion could become a free agent. Bosh could become one after 2009-10. Parker would soon turn 35. And Bargnani had his breakthrough season. On May 12, 2009, Tano was given a 3-year term for the position of head coach. The inevitable roster shakeup for the 2009-10 season began when Capono was traded to the Philadelphia 76ers for the aggressive veteran forward Reggie Evans. Toronto then drafted DeMar DeRozan with the 9th pick, enabling them to fill a spot on the wings. This was followed by the signing of free agent Hidota one-quarter Rakoa, which in turn led to a sign-and-trade agreement involving 4 teams, with Toronto landing wing players Devin George and Antoine Wright, while releasing Marion, Chris Humphries and Nathan Jadway. Around the same time, Parker headed for the Cleveland Cavaliers, while Indiana point guard Jarrett Jack was added and Nesterovia brought back to provide cover for the big men. Finally, Delfino and Ika were moved to the Milwaukee Bucks for Amir Johnson and Sonny Weems. It became increasingly clear that Colangelo, in securing a credible nucleus for the future, was doing this to persuade Bosh to stay beyond 2010. While the Raptors were off to a sluggish start, they picked up the pace around the All-Star break, reaching a season-high 7 games above .500 and standing 5th in the Eastern Conference. Bosh was recording career highs in PPG and RPG. However, A season-ending injury to Bosh after the break coincided with Toronto's descent down the standings from the 5th seed to the 8th, and they ultimately relinquished their spot to Chicago a few games before the regular season ended. 2010 Euro 2013, rebuilding. Before the 2010 Euro 11 season began, there was much anticipation around the league over the fates of an elite pack of free agents, featuring the likes of Bosh, Dwyane Wade, LeBron James, and Maurice Stoudemire. Bosh and James eventually chose to converge in Miami with Wade, and the sign-and-trade transaction that ensued resulted in the Raptors receiving 2 first-round draft picks and a trade exception from Miami. Prior to this, Toronto had drafted Ed Davis, also a left-handed power forward like Bosh. After Bosh left, Colangelo sought to trade Caldera Cubden, Evans and the disenchanted Tawan Kortarakoai for Tyson Chandler, Leandro Barbosa, and Boris Diaw, but the trade involving Chandler collapsed at the last minute, as Chandler was traded to the Dallas Mavericks instead. Belinelli was then traded to New Orleans Hornets for Julian Wright, and 13 games into the season, Jack, David Anderson, and Marcus Banks to New Orleans for Peja Stojakovic and Jared Bayless. Bosh's first return to Toronto was received to a chorus of boos, but not as nearly as harsh as what former Raptors Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter received upon their return. Without Bosh, Toronto as a team regressed and were only able to secure 22 wins in the regular season. Dwayne Casey, an assistant coach with the Mavericks, was hired as the new head coach of Toronto before the 2011 Euro 12 season. The Raptors used their number 5 pick to select Jonas Valanciunas, a center from Lithuania in the 2011 NBA draft. The season was shortened by 16 regular season games due to the 2011 NBA lockout, and the Raptors finished the season with a 23-43 record. During the 2012 off-season, Colangelo tried to lure Canadian free agent and 2-time MVP Steve Nash, who had become a free agent after playing for the Phoenix Suns, to play for the Raptors. When Nash joined the Los Angeles Lakers instead, the Raptors acquired point guard Kyle Lowry from the Houston Rockets for a future first-round pick. Lowry, combined with Valanciunas and the 8th pick in the 2012 draft Terrence Ross, represented the next phase of the rebuilding process. On January 30, 2013, the Raptors acquired Memphis Grizzlies star Rudy Gay and center Hand Haddadi as well as Pistons player Austin Day in a 3-way deal that sent Caldera Cubden to the Detroit Pistons and Davis, along with Pistons veteran Tayshaun Prince and a second-round pick to the Grizzlies. Haddadi was later traded, along with a second-round pick, to Phoenix in exchange for guard Sebastian Telfair. The 2012 Euro 13 season was the first season since 2009 Euro 10 that the Raptors finished the season with a winning home record, despite their overall losing record. 2013 Euro present, return to contention. During the 2013 off-season, new general manager Masai Ujiri traded Bargnani to the New York Knicks for Marcus Camby, Steve Novak, Quentin Richardson, a future first-round draft pick, and 2 future second-round picks. Camby and Richardson were both waived shortly after the trade. The Raptors also added Tyler Hansbrough, DJ Augustin, Dwight Bukes, and Austin Day via free agency. On December 9, 2013, the Raptors traded Gay, Quincy Acee, and Aaron Gray to the Sacramento Kings for John Salmons, Gravis Vasquez, Patrick Patterson, and Chuck Hayes, and waived Augustin. The Raptors were 6 Euro 12 before the Gay trade. After the trade, they went on a 10 Euro 3 run as they maintained their lead in the division, and rose above the .500 mark for the first time in almost 3 years. The Raptors entered the All-Star break with a 28 Euro 24 record, and DeRozan was also selected to play in the All-Star game, being only the 4th ever Raptor to do so. On March 28, 2014, the Raptors clinched a playoff berth for the first time since 2008 after beating the Boston Celtics 105 Euro 103. On April 11, 2014, the Raptors lost to the New York Knicks 108 Euro 100, but since division rival Brooklyn lost to the Atlanta Hawks the same night, the Raptors became Atlantic Division champions for the first time since 2007. They finished the regular season with a franchise-high 48 wins, going 42-22 after the Gay trade, the third-best record in the Eastern Conference. The Raptors faced the Brooklyn Nets in the first round for the first time since 2007 when the Nets were located in New Jersey. Toronto nearly advanced to the next round, but Paul Pierce blocked a potential game winner by Lowry in Game 7. Logos and arenas. Logos. Arenas: SkyDome, Occasional Games, Maple Leaf Gardens, Copps Coliseum. Air Canada Centre, Personnel, Current Roster. International Rights, Management, General Managers, 1995 AA Euro March 1998, Isaiah Thomas, March 1998 AA Euro April 2004, Glenn Grunwald, April 2004 AA Euro June 2004, Jack McCloskey, June 2004 AA Euro January 2006, Rob Babcock, January 2006 AA Euro February 2006, Wayne Embry, February 2006 AA Euro May 2013, Brian Colangelo, May 2013 AA Euro Present, Masai Ujiri, Owners, 1995 AA Euro 1998. John Batub, Alan Slaught, Isaiah Thomas, 1998 AA Euro Present, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, Head Coaches. Notes: an A running total of the number of coaches of the Raptors, and thus any coach who has two or more separate terms as head coach is only counted once. B spent entire coaching career with the Raptors while in the NBA. C elected into the Basketball Hall of Fame as a coach. Awards and records. Since their inception in 1995, the Raptors have made the playoffs 6 times, advancing past the first round just once. The Raptors have won the Atlantic Division twice, and the franchise record number of wins in the regular season is 48. 4 Raptors have been selected to play in the All-Star Game: Vince Carter, Antonio Davis, Chris Bosh, and DeMar DeRozan. Broadcasters: Raptors games are primarily broadcast on television by TSN and Sportsnet. Through MLSE, the Raptors also operate the Canadian version of NBA TV, which airs reruns of Raptors telecasts along with other news and analysis programs focusing on the team and the rest of the NBA. Global Ambassador: on September 30, 2013, Toronto-based rapper Drake was announced as the new global ambassador for the Toronto Raptors, thereby joining the executive committee of his hometown's NBA team. Fanbase: the Raptors have enjoyed a consistent fanbase throughout their history. The Toronto Raptors set NBA attendance records in their 2000, 2001, 2002 seasons when they made the playoffs. Attendance dipped slightly between 2003 and 2006. This improved during the 2006-07 regular season to an average of 18,258 fans, 92.2% of capacity at the ACC. Following the success of the 2006-07 season, Toronto became one of the league leaders in season ticket sales for the 2007-08 season. Their television ratings, however, are considerably lower than other more established Toronto sports teams and most other sporting events shown on Canadian television. The value of the Raptors franchise has risen over the years. In 1998, the franchise was bought for $125 million. With the continued popularity of the Raptors, the value of the franchise doubled from $148 million in 2000 to $297 million in 2004. The value of the franchise grew again from $315 million in 2006 to $373 million in 2007, and $400 million in 2008, before falling to $386 million in 2009. In 2010, the value of the franchise was $399 million, according to reports by Forbes. On game day, the fans are usually entertained by the Raptor mascot, the Raptors Dance Pack, and the Four Corners Raptors sound crow during pre-game, timeouts, and intervals. During the 2013-14 season, a new Drake Zone was created in the lower bowl. Limited edition shirts were given away to fans sitting in the Drake Zone. Giveaways are sometimes bundled with tickets to encourage attendance. Further, Whenever Toronto scores more than 100 points in a home game and wins, fans can redeem their ticket for a cheese or pepperoni pizza slice at standalone pizza locations throughout Ontario for the business day after the game that was played. This is part of a promotion made by the Raptors' official pizza sponsor. Social media. The Raptors have also been one of the most active NBA franchises over social media, with an official Raptors Twitter handle, Pinterest page, and regular Google+ Hangouts, among others. In the 2011 Euro 12 season, the Raptors started the Raptors RTZ Twitter hashtag, a unique way to bring fans together. Moreover, one tweet each game night is chosen as the tweet of the night, with the winner receiving tickets to an upcoming home game or Raptors merchandise. Rivalries. New Jersey Nets. Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets and the Raptors have been minor rivals since the trade of Vince Carter to the New Jersey Nets during the 2004 Euro 05 season. The teams faced each other in the first round of the 2007 NBA playoffs, with the Nets winning the series for a Euro 2. The rivalry was rekindled during the 2013 Euro 14 season when the Nets and Raptors battled for the Atlantic Division, which the Raptors won. In the first round of the 2014 NBA playoffs, the Nets won the series for a Euro 3. New York Knicks. The New York Knicks and the Raptors had a playoff rivalry in 2000 and 2001. The Raptors made their first ever playoff appearance during the 1999 Euro 2000 season, in which they were swept by the Knicks in the first round 3 Euro 0. The following season, the Raptors redeemed themselves, defeating the Knicks in the first round 3 Euro 2. This effectively ended the Knicks' run as perennial NBA championship contenders, which began in the early 1990s. Community service. The Raptors Foundation was the charitable arm of the Raptors, dedicated to assisting Ontario's registered charities that support programs and sports initiatives for at-risk children and youth. The foundation strove to lift spirits and change lives for young people by supporting local and provincial organizations that provide recreational, educational and other youth-oriented activities. Through its community ties and with the help of its corporate partners, donors, Raptors players and volunteers, the foundation has successfully raised more than $14 million between 1995 and 2007, and reached out to thousands of other charities. The Raptors Foundation was one of 3 parts of the Raptors Community Service Program. The other projects are Raptors Community Relations and Raptors Basketball Development, both of which focus on providing basketball development programs. The Toronto Raptors lead the NBA for amount of money donated to the community. In 2009, the Raptors Foundation merged with the other charitable arms of MLS's other sports franchises to form the Team Up Foundation. See also: Toronto Huskies, the Raptors' geographical predecessor and the NBA's predecessor league, Canada Basketball, the organization that oversees basketball in Canada. References. External links: official website, Toronto Raptors on Facebook, Toronto Raptors on Twitter, Toronto Raptors page at basketball-reference.com.